What is up, gents and gal? Green Eyed Dude here. We're going to be going over part 3 of like a 4-part series, I guess. A lot of videos, a lot of stuff to talk about. So in the Codex, we started off with the Brotherhoods, then we started off with the special relics and gems of, extra stuff. What the hell is it called? I never know what the hell. Gifts. The gifts and visions. That's what the hell they're called. So we went over those in the last video, and then today we're going over the stratagems, kind of some key points, key ones you want to keep in your back pocket, and then we're going to go over the spells, and then we'll go over the Warlord traits and tides. So basically this one's going to be spells, stratagems, tides, Warlord traits. So a lot of the stuff you need to know in the game to help yourself out, especially stratagems. When I first started 9th edition, I had no idea what the hell stratagems were. Never used them before. And starting to memorize them and know which ones are good is going to be your kind of goal to really push yourself up the meta and start winning some games. Because not knowing the first couple games, I just didn't play with stratagems. I just didn't know what the hell to do with them. Now that you know what you can do with them and kind of the combo that you can pull off is really, 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 really good. So we're going to go over some of them. So first we'll start off how the thing goes is the stratagems. So let's get into the stratagems. First off is going to be 2 pages. Wow, 2 pages of stratagems. Here is the sweet, sweet stratagems. So, starting off, there's a bunch of 1 stratagems that we're going to be using almost every single turn. First one is the psychic channeling. We use this a lot. So, stratagem is the Grey Knight Psyker, so literally anybody. Attempts to manifest a psychic power until the end of the phase. Select 1 additional die, discard the lowest. So this is going to be really good for your librarian, kind of coming down deep strike and doing the Mortal Wound Bomb, where he does the Vortex of Doom and then the Purify Flame. You're going to be using a lot of stratagems for this guy. So that's one of them is you're going to be using is Psychic Channeling. You're going to use this for also your Grandmaster or Drago to get some gates off, because gate on a 7 is not that reliable, as well as Psychic Amplification. Stuff that you really want to go off, you're going to be using the stratagem almost every single time. So it's 1 CP. You kind of roll 3 dice, drop the lowest. Most of the time you're going to be passing. Then the Psychic Onslaught is another really good one, especially for the Dread Knights. So Dread Knights, any psi weapons, they get +1 strength characteristic and +1 armor penetration. So almost all of your Dread Knight psi weapons are going to be silencers and psi cannons. So now they're going up to strength 6, AP 2, and then strength 9, AP 3. Very good. Almost always they're going to have to use their invuln saves, but just being able to wound better. So like strength 5 wounds usually tanks on 5s, but now sometimes tanks toughness 6, monsters toughness 6, other Dread Knights toughness 6. You're going to be wounding on 4s with 2 AP. So I haven't faced another Grey Knight player, but I just want to see how fast the Dread Knights are going to go down with your Dread Knights shooting their Dread Knights. So you spend 1 CP. Your Nemesis Grandmaster is going to hit on 2s. He's going to wound on 3s with his psi cannon, and then he's going to wound on 4s with his silencer. -2 AP. If you put a psychic amplification on one of them, he's just going to kill a Dread Knight himself. So that's really good combo with that. You can also use it with a Purgation Squad with 4 psi cannons or silencers. I wouldn't really waste it on like a 5-man squad with one side cannon. Most of the time, you can be using this for your Dread Knights. Then this one, the Steelheart, is a Grey Knight Terminator unit. Selected to fight until the end of the fight phase. The model and unit make a melee attack. Add 1 to the attack hit roll. So if you really want your Terminators to hit, they're now hitting on 2s, which is basically Paladin level. So until the end of the phase, each time a model in the unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the attack hit roll. Yeah, so that's really good, especially if they have something that says, all right, you're -1 to hit, or Harlequins, like they're really hard to hit. Boom, now you're hitting on 2s, or if not 3s. So Death from the Warp, there's another 1 CP. Use the stratagem you shoot a phase when a Grey Knight Psyker in your army shoots until the end of the phase. Each time you make a range attack, teleport, strike, add 1 to the attack hit roll. So this is basically coming in, basically they deep strike, and until the end of the phase, if that unit was on the battlefield using teleport strike ability this turn, add 1 to the attack hit roll. So kind of the same thing. So if they use the teleport strike, so if they come in, so not just the Terminators now, this is the melee, but this one is to shooting. So if they come in, they can then spend 1 CP, and now you add 1 to the hit roll. So your heavy weapons that they deep strike in can now hit on 3s instead of hitting on 4s. So if you're like, again, a squad, a Purgation squad, or just a 10-man Terminator squad, you basically you can do the same thing. Come in, they now hit on 3s with their heavy weapons, and then their storm bolters hit on 2s. So that's actually pretty good for like a big man unit. I haven't used that yet. I haven't used either of these two because I don't use Terminators, but I use this one mainly, and these two almost every single game, the top two. Now let's go over here. We have Powerful Adept. The Powerful Adept is 1 CP. A Grey Knight Psyker from the army, so that manifests Psychic Power. Increase the range, so you're going to use this as well. So this I've been using on Drago turn 1. Gating Drago up, spending 1 CP for this, spending 1 CP for this, and now he has an 18 Vortex of Doom on somebody that he has line of sight to. So I've sniped out Typhus in my second battle in a tournament, and I failed a gate. My Grandmaster failed a gate twice with a reroll to trying to get Drago up the board. But Drago walks up, 18-inch smite. I'm sorry, 24-inch smite, but 18-inch Vortex of Doom. So basically walks up, Vortex of Doom, 2d3 mortal wounds, and then he casts a smite right after that, and then just kills whatever he was looking at. So this is really good for turn 1 shenanigans. And then if you do a mortal wound librarian coming in, librarian does this to cast Purify Flame. Purify Flame is a 9-inch spell. When you deep strike in, you're 9.0001 inches away, so you can't cast the Purify Flame unless you spend 1 CP. Remember that, don't cheat. So spend 1 CP to get an extra 6-inch range, so that means you can deep strike a little bit further away to do it, but you need to do that if you want to cast a Purify Flame as well. So I use this a lot as well. So this one, and this one, you're going to be using almost every single game. These two, situational for Terminators or people coming in deep strike with big squads. Purgation squad, I don't run full Purgation squads. I usually run just one. I'm sorry, Purify squad. I don't run Purgation squads. But until the end of the phase, each time a range attack made by a model in this unit targets an enemy model within half range, add 1 to the attack wound roll. That's pretty cool. So basically they deep strike in with 4, let's just say, silencers, strength 4, so they're wounding on 4s, now they wound on 3s, or a side cannon, strength 7, they wound on 3s, now they wound on 2s. So basically that would be 1, 2, 3, 4 times 3, 12 shots. 12 shots hitting on 2s, because you're probably going to be adding 1 to the hit roll. No, hitting on 3s because they're heavy weapons. So hitting on 3s, 12 shots, wounding on 2s for 3 CP. Not the best. But it's a thing. If you just want to hit on 4s, hit on 4s. But there you go. That's some 2 CP. It's pretty expensive if you run a Purgation squad. Then we got this, Final Justice. So Crow already has this, but I actually use this with Drago all the time. So Grey Knight's character model, in your fight phase if the army is already selected to fight in this phase is destroyed. So basically if Drago dies, which most of the time he does, because I play him very, very aggressively. I just told you my turn 1 Drago bomb. So it's usually sitting in the middle of the table, about to get shot the shit out of. So use this 2 CP. He then gets to make an attack before he dies. Kind of the same thing that Crow has before he's removed. So he has a 3 damage weapon, strength like 8, hitting on 2s, 7 attacks, 6 or 7 attacks, whatever it may be. I think it's 6. He then just takes out some of the Terminators that killed him. Then down here, we got Shadows of Unyielding Legends. This is a Dreadnought. Green Knight's core unit within 6 inches. So basically, you get to give your Grandmaster, your Dread Knight, a Grandmaster ability. Green Knight's core units within 6 inches. So this could work, obviously, on Dreadnoughts. Their core. Are Dreadnoughts core? Dread Knights are core. I think Dreadnoughts are core too. So Dreadnoughts and Dread Knights get to get +1 reroll hit rolls of 1. Then this one, Grey Knight's core, reroll wounds. All right, so basically you spend 1 CP on a Dreadnought. You now have a Captain and a Grandmaster right there. That's really cool. I didn't even know about this. This is awesome. So if you run the 1 Brotherhood, that you can make your 1 Dreadnought Preservers insane in melee. So basically you spend 1 CP, 8 characteristic, reroll charge rolls, +1 to the damage characteristic. Spend 1 CP for that. You spend another CP to make him a Grandmaster and Captain all at the same time. That's pretty cool. We're going to have to test that out. So, yes. Literally just sitting in the middle of all 3 Dread Knights. So you have a Dreadnought, 3 Dread Knights. That is going to be cool. So yeah, we're definitely going to test that out. So then we got Purity of the Machine Spirit, Grenades, Machine Spirit. I don't run anything that has Machine Spirits anymore, but until the start of the next command phase, the model is considered to have full wounds remaining when determining profile. So basically anybody that has a Machine Spirit, like a Storm Raven or a Lane Raider, gets to shoot normally and move normally. So for 2 CP, if you really want to get into a range of something, you can then spend that to try and do something. So probably not going to be used unless you have a specific list that uses that. The Chaplain, I haven't tested out the Chaplain yet. I did 1 game with it before the Codex. Now the Codex came out, I haven't used them yet, which I just bought one, so I'm like, wow, that was a waste. This other phase, select 1 Chaplain to recite a litany. The start of the command phase, that model can recite 1 litany that has not already been recited by a friendly model since the start of the last command phase. That litany automatically passes, do not roll, and takes effect until the next command phase. So basically you spend 2 CP, you automatically roll a litany. Instead of rolling a 3+, if you really wanted to go off, you spend 2 CP and then boom, it goes off. That model can recite 1 litany that has not already been recited by a friendly. So does that mean he can do 2 litanies? Because then it might be worth 2 CP. But if you can only do 1 just automatically, I think that should be 1 CP. But who knows? This one, I want to use this really bad. I just don't have... I'm going to use this next game. So Apothecary, within 3 inches, you can bring back a destroyed model in the unit with full wounds remaining. You're mainly going to be using this for a Terminator squad or a Paladin squad, but Grey Knight infantry model. So basically, you return 1 Paladin or 1 Terminator with 3 wounds back for 1 CP. Every single turn, let's say you get through 3 turns with this, you get 3 Terminators back. So by the end of the game, you might have 4 Terminators alive, if not 1. But that's definitely going to be worth it for 1 CP. If you bring in the Apothecary. Psychic Locus, a Captain. This is good. So if you're running the Captain, you're probably going to be using this to get +1 to your Psychic tests. So if he's in the middle of like most of your big squad, 6-inch aura, anybody that makes a Psychic test, add 1 to the Psychic test. So you're probably going to have a Terminator squad, you're going to have a Apothecary, you're going to have him, you're going to have Drago possibly, you're going to have a Banner. So all those people are just going to be walking up the table probably within 6 inches of them, so that way they all get plus 1 of the Psychic Powers, plus 1 Smite, plus 1 Sanctuary, plus 1 what's the Vortex of Doom if you want to shoot Drago out there, plus 1 Gate of Affinity. So very, very good and definitely worth 2 CP. Finest Hour. Use Stratagem at the start of the phase. Select 1 Grey Knight's character from the unit until the end of the phase. Add 3 to the range of the aura abilities. So if you really want a 9-inch one of this, you can do that. Or if you want a 6-inch bubble for the apothecary. What else? 6-inch aura for the Grandmaster. That's about it. So if you're out of range, like let's say you didn't measure correctly and you really needed to get somebody in range to reroll 1s, spend that CP, and then boom, you get to do that. So that's like kind of like, oh crap, I messed that up. Thunderstrike. I haven't used this yet, and I run 4 Grand Dread Knights every single game, which I probably should start using this, but they usually just kill whatever they charge anyway. So use the Stratagem in the charge phase. When a Dread Knight model finishes the charge move, select 1 enemy unit within. So select, you can choose. That's cool. Unit within engagement range of that model. Roll a d6 on a 2 to 5, 3 mortal wounds. On a 6, 3 mortal wounds. So d3 mortal wounds, or on a 6 suffers just 3 straight mortal wounds. So this is cool if you multi-charge. Or yeah, so if you charge like a tank and a unit, or a character and a unit, you can then say, all right, d3 mortal wounds on the character, and then put the rest of the attacks into everybody. So for 1 CP, I'm glad it's not 2 CP, because nobody would ever use that for 2 CP. But cool, just 3 extra mortal wounds. So basically he's doing either Hammerhand charging in, or he's going to be doing Smite and then charging in. So basically d3 mortal wounds and then another d3 mortal wounds. Cool. This one is the extra stuff in the beginning of the game. So this gives a Warlord character from the model, give them 1 relic. So you can spend 1 CP to give a model 2 relics. Oh, you cannot give model 2 relics. Each relic in your, so basically you're spending 1 CP to give another model another relic. So before you used to have to spend 2 CP. Now you're only spending 1 CP for another relic, which there's a lot. We just went over. There's a lot of good relics in this book. So that's actually really good. So most of the time you're going to be using that anyway. Exemplar Silverhurst, you're going to be using this almost all the time. Basically, you're able to give somebody a Warlord trait. So like you give your apothecary Warlord trait, you give your banner Warlord trait, or you can generate another Warlord trait. So usually your Grandmaster, you're going to have this for 2 of them. And then you do this one to give a character a Warlord trait. So this one gives 2 Warlord traits on one guy. This one gives another Warlord trait on one of your characters. So you're probably going to be using both of these. So that's why we usually start the game with 10 to 8 CP, because there's so many CP that we want to be dishing out before the game. So endowment. What is this one? Before the battle, Grey Knight's model in the army that's one of the following. So this is the one where if you want to put one of the relics, specific relic, Sanctuary Shard, Angrim Skulls, or Staff of Supremacy on one of your Knights of the Flame, Paragon, or Justicar, one of those 3 leaders of the unit, you can put one of those 3 on it as if it was a character. So that's very situational. They're not good ones. Like if they were good ones, I would say use this almost every single time. But they're okay. They're situational. We just went over them. So I'm not going to be doing it. But if you guys really like any of them, you might want to. But me personally, I'm probably not going to be running those. Then we got some more of these regular stratagems. We have mental focus. Use a stratagem in your psychic phase. Grey Knight Psyker in the army until the end of the phase. You can attempt to manifest 1 more psychic power. What's cool about this one is use the stratagem in your psychic phase. So anytime in the psychic phase, select 1 Grey Knight Psyker unit from your army until the end of that phase. That unit can attempt to manifest 1 more psychic power. So let's say you did all of your psychic powers and you really want 1 more. You can then say, all right, you are going to do 1 more psychic power. So you can save this. Like let's say your Libby drops down and does a Vortex of Doom, kills somebody. Then he does a Purify Flame, kills more people. Now there's nobody around him. You don't have to do this. But let's say there's 1 more person around him. You need 1 more smite to go off. You then spend 1 more CP anytime, and then you can do one more smite. So you can save this until you really need it. You don't have to do this at the beginning. Like, all right, Libby's going to get 3 psychic powers. No, do 2 psychic powers first. See if any of them go off. If there's anybody left, then you can do this. So that's the combo with this one. Is it doesn't have to be right away. So save that one until you really need it. But you're probably going to be using it every single game. Fight on the move. So this is 1 CP. This I use actually a lot because I run the Grandmaster with the teleporter, and also the interceptors are very good. So basically the interceptors they all have teleporters, so they can spend 1 CP to fall back, shoot, and also charge. So let's say in the middle of the table, you have a squad of interceptors that lived, right? You have 1 or 3 of them left. You can then spend 1 CP to then move 12 inches into your opponent's deployment zone. And then shoot something and then charge something back there if, let's say, there's one dude left all the way in the back. Or you can obviously move back into your deployment zone, use a psychic power, shoot, and then move 12 inches again. So you can literally have an interceptor start in the middle of the table, go up 12 inches, do their psychic power, shoot, and then move another 12 inches. So literally you just moved all the way across the entire table with this interceptor squad. Or your Grandmaster. So let's say your Grandmaster has a teleporter, or if you have it on a Dread Knight, you can spend 1 CP. It moves 9 inches out of combat. It can then shoot something and then charge something all the way over here. Unless you're surrounded, then you can't do it. But that's very, very good thing that you're probably going to be using, and I'm glad it's only 1 CP. Hallowed and Soulfire. This is cool. So Grey Knight core unit. 1 CP until the start of the next turn. Each time an attack made against the unit, subtract 1 to the attack roll. So this is in the movement phase. Unit and army that is set up on the battlefield from teleport. So basically a squad of Terminator squad coming in, or I don't know if this works with the gate. If this works with gate, then it counts as a teleport strike. I think it does. So they come in, you spend 1 CP. Now let's subtract 1 to the attack hit rolls until the next turn. So what does this work with? Shooting and charges. Really cool for 1 CP, especially on a Terminator squad. So this is really, really good. Then this one, Untainted Unbound, 2 CP on a Purifier squad. Subtract 1 to the damage characteristic. I haven't run more than 5 Purifiers in a list. I'm not going to spend 2 CP for that. This kind of goes the same with the Zone of Warding, which we'll go over. Yeah, we'll go over that in a little bit. So use a stratagem on a Purifier squad, subtract 1 to the damage characteristics. If you have a 10-man Purifier squad, let's say Crow like right behind them, this actually would be pretty good to use. Because obviously everybody has 2 damage, and you want them to survive, so that way they can use their Purify Flame. Silence Bombardment. Haven't used this, probably never going to use it. It's so situational. You basically put a 3-inch a marker down, and then if somebody advances in there after the next turn, it then does a bombardment. Let's just skip over that one. Don't do that one. Need to know. Grey Knight's detachment, stratagem playing the mission requires you to select 1 secondary objective, so you can switch your secondaries, which could be good in a tournament. Like let's say you mess something up, you can then just switch it. So it's cool that they added this to the game. I haven't used it yet. Usually I spend a little bit of time, figure out what stratagem I want to use. But if, let's say, you messed up, you can then spend a CP to get rid of it. That's cool. Alloy of Disciplines. This is a Paladin. I haven't used the Paladin unit yet, but select 1 Paladin unit from an army, select 1 psychic power from Psychic Discipline that does not know, and replace it with the psychic power that it does. So, people are saying that you can get rid of Smite, because Smite is a Psychic Discipline. Let's look at this. Which I don't see it in there. So that's a question. Somebody was saying that you can take out Smite and get another psychic power, or maybe that's just in the characteristic. I don't know. We got to read about that one. Basically, you can switch out a Sanctity Discipline for another psychic power, kind of like what the Thousand Suns do, but only on Paladins. Martial Prescience. Grey Knight's unit was set to defend, which I have to look up some videos on set to defend because nobody in the game knows what the hell set to defend is. So use a stratagem in the fight phase. When Grey Knight's unit is set to defend, it's selected as a fight an attack made by an enemy unit until the end of the phase. Each time an unmodified roll of a 6 is made for a model in that unit after the attack model unit has finished making its attacks, the attacking model suffers 1 mortal wound. Okay, so basically, each time an unmodified save roll of a 6. So anytime you make a save of a 6, they suffer 1 mortal wound. That's actually pretty funny. I definitely, it's so random, like on a 6, and I guess if you die, it still goes off. After the attacking model's unit has finished attacks, it attacks the attacking model. So let's say you have 50 attacks coming in to a unit, and there's like 1 guy left. You roll 50, 20 saves, whatever it may be. You spend, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to spend 1 CP anytime I get a 6. You take 1 mortal wound. That's pretty funny. I'm going to use that. I have to try and remember that, though. So, and then I have to look up a video on how freaking set to defend works. Okay, steady advance. I haven't used this, but this is not bad. Steady advance is Grey Knight's infantry model or unit. Basically, you acts as if you didn't move. So acts as if you remain stationary. So if you really want to get that 24-inch Stormbolter shots off on a unit, you can then use the steady advance for 2 CP. So it's really hard to use 2 CP on a 5-man unit. But if you have like a 10-man unit with some heavy weapons, or a 10-man unit that wants to put cyborg ammunition on, so you spend 2 CP, that's 4 CP, basically cyborg ammunition and steady advance at the same time. You get 24-inch range of all the shots, and then let's say you casted the Psychic Power with the Interceptors. You then move up, cast Psychic Power, spend 4 CP, shoot 24 inches away, get 4 shots each. Let's say you spend another CP to hit on 2s, whatever the hell it is, and then you get to jump back behind cover again. So you spend a lot of freaking CP, but you're probably doing a lot of damage because over here, cyborg ammunition is definitely going to be used a lot. Unmodified roll of a 6 to hit automatically wins the target. So high wound or high toughness people, this is really good to use. Tanks, stuff like that, dreadnoughts, and then improve the armor characteristic by 1. So now they're armor AP 1 Stormbolters. And you only spend 2 CP if it's 6 or more models. So usually I use this 1 CP a lot on just my 5-man units. If I really just want to kill a tank or kill a Dark Elder vehicle, you kind of throw that out there, and now it's only 1 CP. But if it's a 10-man unit, it might be worth it to do both of these. But 5-man unit, probably not going to be using that. Hexagrammic Wards, 1 CP. Roll an additional die, discard the lowest if you're trying to do a Deny the Witch, which most people don't like. So we have this in our back pocket if we need to use it. If you're like, what's one of your best psychic powers that you can be casting every turn? They tell you, you're like, all right, I'm going to save that for that psychic power. And just remember that you have this. You just roll 3d6, drop the lowest. And again, people don't like when you do that. Coming from experience. Teleportation shunt, 2 CP, so freaking expensive. This is what I'm most let down with in this book, is the teleport shunt. So we used to have this for free. And if we still had this for free, our Codex would literally be #1 in the entire game, I think. Because Interceptors are still really freaking good. If they were to just shunt for free, with all the charges and shenanigans we have, and all the psychic powers and smites and all that stuff, it would be broken. If all the Dread Knights could teleport for free, they would all have the teleport homers on them for 10 points. So this is the biggest letdown, I think, that we have in the whole game. Or at least for our new Codex. We have to spend 2 CP to teleport shunt within 9 inches away. So most of the time you could be having a teleporter on your Grandmaster. So in case you do need to spend 2 CP, you could spend this early on to get him over to into line of sight of somebody, or to try and get a charge off with his 8-inch charging. But I'm never usually using this on a Interceptor squad unless it's like a 10-man unit or it's like the end of the game and I happen to have 2 CP, which most of the time I don't, then you can then do this and get onto an objective somewhere. But with the teleporters or with the interceptors, they're just so mobile. Like literally one of them can go 12 inches, do a psychic power, go another 12 inches. That's 24 inches away. Like how much further do you have to literally run to do that? So 2 CP, if they have a teleporter, you can then shunt them anywhere on the table, 9 inches away from an opponent. So disappointed with that one, but it's there. Mist of Deimos. Use a stratagem in the opponent's shooting phase. Grenade smokestream unit. So anybody who has a smoke screen, which is like the rhino, stuff like that, until the end of the phase, each time attack is made against the unit, subtract 1 of the attack hit roll. So +1 to hit, or +1 to the saving, or whatever the hell you want to say it, -1 to their hit roll on a smoke screen for 1 CP. True Silver Armor. I use this sometimes. So I use it and they usually die anyway. So 3 CP on a 10-man unit, 2 CP on a 5-man unit. I probably should only be using this for like a Terminator unit. I've been using it on the Interceptors, sometimes Strikes. If you really don't want them to die, you do 2 CP. They now only get wounded on a 4-up. So I forget what it's called for the Space Marine, but they have the same thing. Ours is just called something cooler. But yeah, so let's say you charge in and you're going like against a whole squad of, Terminators or whatever it may be, which literally just happened the one game I just played. I spent 2 CP. They have True Silver Armor, and they all died. So didn't really matter. You gotta be careful when you use it, but it is cool to have. So you're probably gonna be using that in some games. We already went over Cyborg ammunition. You're gonna be using this a lot. Zone of Warding. I don't know how much I'm gonna be using it. I mean, it's 1 CP. So if you want to bring a what's it called? Warding staff into your units, which is free, which is cool. You put 1 Nemesis warding staff on your in your unit. You then spend 1 CP on a 5-man unit. They now have a 5-up invuln save. On a 10-man unit, you spend 2 CP. Now they have a 5-up invuln save. Or if the Terminator squad, they have a 4-up invuln save. Only to shooting though. This doesn't work in close combat. So if you're doing, if you really want your 5-man squad to live, and they really need that 5-up invuln save, you can then spend 1 CP to try and get the zone of warding if you have a warding staff. Me though, I took out all my warding staffs because most of the time that 5-up invuln save is not going to help you. Because most of the time when you're needing an invuln save, it does 2+ damage anyway. So if you fail one of them, they just die. So it's your call. Probably better on Terminators. Just get the 4-up invuln save, which now you have a 50-50 shot of saving it. So yeah, better on Terminators, not so much on Strikes and Interceptor squads. I'd rather just put the Psychic Power on them. I forget what it's called. 4-up invuln save. Use the stratagem in the shooting phase. Psychic Grenade, so 1 CP, you get to turn a Psychic Grenade on a 2+. The Psyker within 6 inches suffer Pales of the Warp. So you can get D3 mortal wounds on them. So this is a little strat where if you're playing like a Thousand Suns player, you spend 1 CP, you throw a grenade on a 2+, you wound their Psyker leader, and then if you shoot the squad, all the wounds have to go onto the leader because he's the one who took the wound. So that's cheeky. That is a way to kind of get around the Psyker living in that unit. So you throw a Psychic Grenade and then you shoot the unit and then the Psyker dies. So somebody told me that and I just laughed because that is freaking hilarious to be able to do that. Then we have Frag Assault Launchers. This is going to be for the big tank that we got, the Crusader. They have these. So within 9 inches of the unit, enemy brace, duck for cover. If the unit braces, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. If the unit ducks for cover, until the end of the turn, subtract 1 of the attack characteristics of the models in that unit, and the unit cannot fire Overwatch as a defense. So basically, it's charge phase. The thing charges in, use the launchers for 1 CP. 1 enemy unit, excluding vehicle monsters, within 9 inches of that unit. The enemy unit can either brace or duck for cover. So if they brace, they suffer D3 mortal wounds. If they duck for cover, then until the end of the turn, subtract 1 from the attack characteristics of the models in that unit, and they cannot fire Overwatch. So that's pretty cool. You basically charge in, spend 1 CP. All these smoke launchers literally charge into the unit. They suffer D3 mortal, and they choose: do you want to suffer D3 mortal wounds, or you suffer -1 to the attack characteristics, which looks like it's melee as well. So -1 to attack in melee until the and they can't fire Overwatch or set to defend. I'm actually going to be testing that out. So what can you add to that with your Terminator squad? So let's go Terminators right here. This is Steelheart. Use strategy in fight phase. So +1 to hit you in Terminator. I'm looking for like a defensive one for your Terminators where it's -1 to hit. So only this if they come in from the warp. So basically if you teleport them in or Gate of Affinity them up, you have your Land Raider charge in, smoke launcher them. They're now, add 1 to the hit rolls. No, that's that from the warp. What am I thinking of? We just went over it. The flame spell, that's what it's called. This one. So, teleport strike ability. So basically this is the one I was talking about. So subtract 1 of the attack hit rolls. So subtract 2 to the hit rolls. So basically -2 to hit the unit. Let me know if you can actually do that, because that'd be hilarious. So this one is if they choose subtract 1 to the attack characteristics. Oh, attack characteristics. So not to hit, the attack. So basically they're losing 1 attack, which is even better. And then -1 to hit. That's a cool combo. So you need to hit me on like 4s most of the time, and you're losing 1 attack. That's cool. All right, so there you go. There's the stratagems. The ones that we used mostly are going to be on this first page right here, and then some of like the psychic power ones. Final Justice I use almost every single game when my Grandmaster or Drago or even a librarian, any character, like just use that to get some final kills before they die, because it's kind of pointless if you don't. Instead of like for Drago, it's cool because you don't want to interrupt with Drago because he has a 3-up invuln save. So if he does survive, he just gets to attack normally. But if he doesn't survive, then you just spend 2 CP for that. Or you can interrupt with another unit, do the attacks, and then if Drago dies, you spend 2 more CP to do that. So 4 CP in their assault phase to kill a shit ton of guys. Yeah, so there you go. And now let's go over quickly, because this is a little bit longer video, the Psychic Powers. So with the Psychic Powers, a couple things change. You guys probably already know. This is a little bit later in the thing, but the things that we're going to be using a lot. Gate of Affinity is a 7-cost spell. You basically target somebody 18 inches away now, which is awesome. Remove that unit from the battlefield and then set it back up on the battlefield anywhere within 9 inches of the enemy turn. So this doesn't say, like, it doesn't say that it's like a deep strike. So you probably can't gate and use that one ability that we went over with the -1 attack. So this just says place anywhere. So it's kind of like teleport. But you're going to be using that a lot. I have that on my Grandmaster. I have it on Drago. So this is really good, especially late game, teleporting all the way across the board. Empiric Amplification I put on my Grandmaster. This is a very good, very good spell. It's a Warp Charger 7, so you really want this to go off. So you spend 1 CP to roll 3 dice, drop the lowest. It's only range 12. You can extend it to 18 if you need to. Until the start of your next psychic phase, each time an attack made with a nemesis or side weapon, so literally anybody in the army that has one of those two, is allocated a model unit, add 1 to the damage characteristic attack. So your Dread Knights all have side weapons, so they're shooting in at 2 damage for the silencers and 3 damage for their side cannons. You spend 1 CP for the Psychic Onslaught. They're now strength 9, -3. 3 damage. Strength 6, -2, 2 damage. Holy shit. That, with some other stratagem that we just went over, is very, 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 very attractive. Sanctuary I haven't used yet. Same thing as before. I mean, I guess before it was like +1 to their invuln save. Now it's just a 4-up invuln save. So you can put this on anybody that within 18 inches that is a psyker. 4-up invuln save. So this is what you can be using for like a 10-man Terminator squad or a Paladin squad or something like that. Sanctuary. Vortex of Doom is one of my favorite spells. Been using it almost every single game now, especially on the Librarian coming in Deep Strike. So Manifest of 7, so you want to spend 1 CP to roll 3 dice to try to get this off. If you need to extend it, you can get up to 18 inches, which is what I do for my Drago. So Drago basically gets gated up from the Grandmaster, spends 1 CP to extend the range by 6 inches, and spends 1 CP to roll 3 dice drop below. So then he's going to basically Vortex of Doom some character off the board on turn 1. And when they lose a character like that on turn 1, it's such a swing in not only the game, not only the characters on the table, but their morality. And that's so bad to say, but it's like you told them about it. They know it's just busted. And then everybody within 3 inches take another mortal wound. So if you put Psychic Amplification on that model, let's say your Librarian, he then gets 2d3 plus 1 mortal wounds, and then 1 mortal wound for everybody else within 3 inches. Such a good spell. Should be on almost every single character you have. Can only cast it once though, in the face. So make sure you remember that. Warp Shaping, definitely put this on one of the models in the unit, unless you're only going to be using one Tide. But most of the time you're going to be starting in the Tide of Shadows, and then changing it into either the Assault Tide, which is the minimum 6 damage or range on the charges, or the Nemesis Tide, which gets an extra 6 inches for the side weapons, as well as the extra mortal wound for the 6s. So definitely want to bring Warp Shaping. It's only on a 4, which is good. So Ghostly Bonds, a lot of people have been running, but I haven't tested it out yet. It's on a 5, 18-inch range. Until the start of the next psychic phase, that unit's movement characteristic is cut in half. I probably am going to want to start trying that, especially if I bring Terminators, because they're already slow to begin with. So your, is it anybody? If manifested, select one enemy unit. So literally anybody. It could be a tank, it could be a Dark Elder Strider, it could be anybody. Cut in half. So now your 16 speed goes down to 8, which is a huge freaking difference. You deep strike in, you can then just say, hey, you all the way over there 18 inches away, you're half speed. So I can see why people are taking that. Maybe I take out, because on my Drago I have Gate, Warp Shaping, and Vortex of Doom in case my Librarian dies or I want to do the turn 1 Vortex of Doom shenanigans. That's why I have that. But Ghostly Bonds, where can I fit that in at? That's the question, because my list, I mean, maybe I'll put on my my Captain. Yeah, maybe I'll put on my Captain. Or I'll put on Drago and put Warp Shaping on my Captain. I don't know. We'll test it out. So that's the Dominus. Now the Sanctic. Any of these can be casted multiple times. Just add 1 for each time you cast it. So a lot of the units already start with these. So with the Psychic Confluence, this is what I was saying. You add 1 to the Warp Charge every time you cast one of these powers. Astral Aim got a huge nerf. I haven't casted it yet. The Purgation Squad starts with Astral Aim. And again, you used to be able to ignore line of sight. Now you don't. You just ignore cover. Reroll 1 hit roll. That's it. And they don't gain the benefit of cover against this attack. So haven't used it, probably never going to use it. You can just skip over it. Purge Soul is a Witchfire of 6. If manifested, select 1 enemy unit within 12 inches of the Psyker. Then roll 1d6. Add the Psyker's leadership characteristic result to your opponent's rolls a d6 and add their unit characteristic to the result. If the total is higher than your opponent, d3 mortal wounds. If the total is equal, 1 mortal wound. If the total is less, nothing happens. So I don't know who has Purge Soul, but it's just a different smite, but harder to get off. So you're probably just going to cast a smite multiple times. But it it's a different, right? It's Purge Soul, so you can do Smite and Purge Soul without suffering the -1 or +1. Hammerhand is on all of your strikes and Dread Knights, so this is actually really, really good. You get to, it's on a 5, so it's pretty easy, and you get to reroll all wound rolls, which is great. So anytime you have a hurt Dread Knight, you're going to be wanting casting this on them instead of Smite. So let's say you have a Dread Knight that has 1 wound left. He is getting down to 3 attacks, so he's going to do a sweep attack, which he hits on 5s if you want to reroll with the Drago. He hits on 5s. If he gets any hits through, you really want him to wound. So him re-rolling the wounds is, I'm sorry, hits on 3s in close combat. Shooting is a 5-up, but hitting on 3s still. So he comes in, 6 attacks, hitting on 3s, re-rolling all the wounds. He's still able to do a shit ton of damage, even with 1 wound left. So Hammerhand is very good on the Dread Knights. Strike squads have Hammerhand as well, and our strike squads hit like a truck. So having Hammerhand on them as well is great. Purify Flame, one of the best spells we have. This is on your Purifier squads, and also you can take this on your Librarian, is a Witchfire. So with his Warlord trait, you can add +1 mortal wounds to it. On a 5, it goes off. The Purifiers have +1 to cast this, so on a 4, it goes off. And then if they just suffer flat 3 mortal wounds. And then on 11+, which happened at the tournament the other day, suffers D3 +3 mortal wounds. If you have the Warlord trait with an additional mortal wound, it's D3 +4 mortal wounds. That is ridiculous. It's a very, very good spell. It's only range 9, so remember that. If you deep strike or come in from reserves, you have to spend 1 CP to extend the range by 6, especially on your Librarian. So remember that, don't cheat. Armor Resilience is on our tanks, so our Dreadnought. Armor Resilience has a warp charge of 6. Add 1 to the psychic or saving throws to that unit. So basically your 3-up Dreadnought now goes to a 2-up Dreadnought. You can put this on a Paladin squad. They can choose to take this, so they go from a 2-up to a 1-up. So that definitely helps them out. So Armor Resilience is probably going to be good for a Paladin squad or your Dreadnoughts. Yeah. Yep, because it has to be on the unit, so you can't put it on somebody else. Ethereal Castigation is a really cool spell. It's for our jump dudes, the Interceptors. So it's a warp charge of 6. I've been playing it at 7 for the longest time, until probably a couple weeks ago when I read it again. I was like, wow, it's a 6. You get to shoot in your psychic phase, so Satans don't scare us as much. So basically you can shoot in your psychic phase and then move. So they're speed 12. So basically you get to move up 12, spend this, shoot, either back up in cover or move forward. They can't charge after this, which, you know, it's fine. That would be broken. But at least it gives you a lot of board presence. So on turn 1, you literally can get 3 points from engaging all fronts by putting your 2 squad of 5 up as far forward as possible. They move up, even if they can't shoot anything. They move up, they cast a spell, and then they move up 12 again just to get in the deployment zone, or the enemy's deployment zone. And then you get 3 points, turn 1. And basically every turn after that, you should be getting 3 points. So that is like an easy 14, let's say 12 to 15 points of our secondaries every single time we play, just because of that spell right there. So there you go. Those are the different changes between the Dominus and Sanctuary. And then the litanies, I'm not going to go over because I haven't run enough of them. But I know there's one litany. There's a couple. Whatever, we'll go real quick. This one adds 1 to the psychic test within 6 inches of the priest. And this one adds armor penetration of that attack by 1. Unmodified wound roll of 6, add 1 to the armor penetration. So basically anybody within 6 inches, add 1 to the armor pen of 6s. Suffers 1 mortal wound. So this is like the tide that we have. He just kind of brings it. And that's it. Somebody let me know about litanies, because I don't run a chaplain anymore. I might test one out soon, but not too skilled on the chaplains. Warlord traits. So many good ones. Just kidding. Demon Slayer, I think this is Drago's thing where he gets to fight with a demon Invulnerable saves cannot be taken, so if you're doing a specific demon match, you might want to take that, or have Drago be your Warlord. Hammer of Righteousness is a good one for Nemesis Dread Knight, or really any melee master that you have. It adds 1 to the wound roll, so basically your 3s now go to 2s, or your 4s now go to 3s. So very good if you charged in. So like, let's say your Grandmaster Dread Knight charges in, gets 12 attacks on the charge, hits on 2s, wounds on 3s because strength 6. Now he's wounding on 2s, minus 2 AP, 2 damage. That's deadly. So having that with First of the Fray, which is up here, adds 1 to the advance and charge rolls for your Warlord. If the Warlord has made a charge move this turn, anybody that charges that unit can also have +1 movement. So basically you want him to charge in first, and then everybody else can then charge that unit or combi charge into different units. So having this on a small man and having him in the middle of a Terminator squad, he can then charge in, then Terminators charge in at +1. So that's a good combo with your Warlord. Nemesis Lord, each time the Warlord makes a melee attack with a Nemesis weapon, an unmodified roll of 6 automatically wounds the target. Rather have the Hammer of Righteous. And then Psychic Epitome. At the start of each of Psychic phases, this is the one where you're going to be wanting on your Librarian. So you spend 1 CP, have him take this Warlord trait, adds 1 additional mortal wound anytime you cast a Witchfire. So Purify Flame and Vortex of Doom is that. Unyielding Anvil. Grey Knight's Core. This is good for your Grandmaster because he's got such a big base. So everybody within 6 inches of him, characters and core units, which is Dread Knights, all the infantry models, and literally all the characters. So everybody is objective secured. And if they're already objective secured, it's 1 additional model. So a squad of strikes goes from 5 to 10, goes from 10 to 20. Terminators 10 to 20. Like it's just very good. So I've been using Unyielding Anvil and First of the Fray. You can do First of the Fray and Hammer of Righteous if you don't really care about this one, but this one's just so situationally good that sometimes they like put 1 model in the zone just to kind of say, all right, I'm taking over the zone. I'm like, nope, I have 1 Grand Knight, Grandmaster there, which is object secured, and I have this little Interceptor that is like just chilling there right next to him, who isn't objective secure, but now he is. So I have 2 models, so screw you. So that is pretty cool to have just innately. We went over the gifts that you can take, which does it 1 per phase, and I'd rather just take this because it's the entire game. So pretty cool. Those are the Warlord traits and everything else. Oh, let's go over these. This is gonna. I'm sorry, guys. This is a longer video. There's so much to go over. So this one is our chapter approved rules. We'll do a whole secondary video because there's a lot of secondaries that even me, I'm still new to them. But if you pick the wrong secondaries, you could lose the game. So these are our secondaries. Now you can't choose 2 secondaries in a game, which I found out. So if you're choosing 2 of your book, you can't do that. It's not allowed. You can only choose 1 of these and 2 from the other book. Now, what our things are against Purge the Enemy, which is Destroy Demon. So anytime you go against demons, you might want to take this one. Demon Primarch, you get 5 points. Demon Monster, you get 3 points. Demon Vehicle, you get 3 points. And Demon Unit, you get 1 point. So pretty easy to max out if you're fighting a demon army or like a Nurgle with a lot of demons in it. So 5 if they have the Primarch with them, but 3 for each of those. You just have to kill 5 monsters or vehicles together, or 1 victory point for just a unit. So pretty good. Again, if you're asking beforehand, how many demon monsters do you have? How many demon vehicles do you have? And how many demon units do you have? And do you have a Primarch? Which you'll probably see just from looking at his army. But add it up. If you can get up to 15 to 20, take it. If not, don't really want to take it. This one is very hard to achieve. Score 3 victory points at the end of the battle round if one of your or more enemy units were destroyed by a Grey Knight model with the army that was set up on the battlefield using Teleport Strike ability, Teleport Shunt, Stratagem, or Gate of Affinity. So any one of those 3, which you can do a lot of. So you can spend 2 CP to shunt your Grandmaster. You can Gate of Affinity another person, like another Dread Knight, and then you can teleport somebody in on turn 2. So you have a bunch of different chances to get 3 points a turn. And this counts towards shooting, psych powers, or assaults. So if you destroyed any one of those in any of those phases at the end of the battle round, you get 3 victory points. This is something that I would take if you can't do this one and you're not fighting demons. This one is tricky but doable, especially if you're bringing 2 gates. You have a teleport shot on your Grandmaster, and you're deep striking some people coming in. Like the Librarian coming in, deep strike, and just blowing up a unit, pretty easy to get 3 points. So you have to make sure you can try and get a turn 1. So turn 1, you're going to gate, and then shunt. So you're spending 2 CP, probably 3 CP to gate somebody. So you're spending 3 CP to try and get 3 victory points, turn 1. You know, so if you do the Drago bomb, you could probably do it. If you don't do the Drago bomb, you probably can't do it. Who knows? Try it. That is, that's going to be 12 to 15 points for you. This one, I like a lot. So this is a warp charge of 5. It doesn't go up 1 every time you cast it. It's basically, wow, that just dominated. Okay. So it's basically every time, most of the objectives, there's going to be 4 to 6 objectives in most of the games. So this is a really good late game. 1 on a warp charge of 5. It's like action, so you can still shoot and charge afterwards. You cast it on your strike squad. So the people that are in the backfield or your interceptor squads that are running up and doing the psych power, you basically hop up 12 onto the middle objective, do the psych power on the dudes, and now you get 1 point. If you do it on 2, you get 2 points. If you do it on 3, you get 4 points. So 4 points each round is pretty easy to do. And towards the end of the game, you're going to have your Dread Knights hopefully alive. You're going to have some interceptors alive. Your strikes, like 1 random strike squad might be alive. So doing 4 of them, you get 6. So literally you only have to do a couple 2s, maybe a 3, and then 1 4, and then you should be able to max this out pretty easily. This is hard if you're going against another Grey Knight player, or if you're going against Thousand Suns. They could stop this pretty easily because it's only warp charge of 5. In the last game I played, I actually perilled a shit ton of times and kind of killed some of my units on this. But it's still worth it. I still max it out almost every single time. So that is a good one to take almost every single time. This one and potentially this one if you can't do the psych powers, or if it's only like 2 objectives or something shitty. So these 2 are probably the best ones. This is only for demons if they have those types of units. So there you go. Those are that. I think that's everything we're going to go over. Next one we're going to go over is going to be the tides, which we probably should go over this video, but I'm not because it's already an hour long. We're going to go over the tides, and then we're going to go over all of the character units, the ones that we've run, the ones that we want to run, and kind of strategies for tournaments coming up in the future. Alright guys, so that's going to wrap it up. A lot to talk about in this video, so I apologize for it being so long. If you guys want to fast forward, they're broken up different sections. And then the next video, like I said, we're going to be going over the Masters of the Warp, which there's mainly 2 of them that you're going to be running in. And then we're going to be going over literally all of the guys in the book. So that's going to be another probably long video, but fun one to go over. Talk about what guns you can take on them, what weapons you can take on them, what weapons I've been running, and what HQ choices you're probably going to be taking, detachments, all that fun stuff. So hopefully you join me for that video. If you guys want to join the Discord, the link's in the below. If you want to get a game in locally, if you guys are in the Pennsylvania area or Jersey or New York or wherever it may be, take a drive down. We'll do a weekend or something. We'll drink some beers, then we'll play some games and record it. But guys, I will see you in the next video, 4 of 4. Coming up, and take a look out if you guys aren't subscribed so these videos actually pop up for you guys for the next battle report, which is going to be coming out for Grey Knights, Drakari, and the gold shiny dudes for the Emperor. So appreciate it, good luck, and we'll see you in another video soon.